Hi and welcome to Lady Boss HR. Thank you for joining me today. So yesterday I chaired a national meeting across the UK. It was for HR professionals and business owners, and we discussed the changing relationship between employers and employee since the pandemic. We also looked at the challenges that we face as business owners and also HR professionals in 2022. So the three topics that we discussed that we felt were some of the main challenges and priorities for HR professionals and business owners in 2022 were mental health, the office working from home hybrid debacle, and also retention of talent. So the first one was mental health. And as you will all be aware, so whether you're in the UK or worldwide, there was HR professionals there that work for global organisations. I think we all are in the same position now where we've obviously been in a pandemic, we've been in periods of lockdown, and whilst there's always a mental health crisis, there is a bigger concern than ever, and some of the experts in the room are actually describing us as being now in a mental health pandemic. Deloitte completed some research not so long ago and they called it pandemic productivity, meaning, and I can relate to this because I think when I first worked from home, I did see the attraction of missing out on those 2 hours of travel time each day, but all that meant was that those 2 hours I replaced with being in front of my laptop. So I think that a lot of us felt that the lines were blurred between our home and our working life. There's been descriptions of people feeling that they are sort of burnt out, and it really is something that has to be a priority for us moving into 2022. And whilst I'm not saying that working from home does not have its advantages, we've just got to be aware of some of the emerging concerns from working from home. And if we are making those decisions that either we are working from home permanently or we're adopting a hybrid model, which is what I've done in my businesses, then we do need to ensure that we have that sense of belonging for our people. We ensure that we do have the ability, managers equipped and know when to see signs and know when to signpost people to the experts, because we are not the mental health experts. We are here to be able to know the signs and obviously signpost people to the correct support that they need. And I think communication is massive and so very important for us as well. So 2022 is about having those courageous conversations with your people. So the second topic was about returning to the office, and I've just alluded to that when I've talked about the mental health pandemic that some experts feel that we are now in. So what are you going to do? Are you in the office? Are you not in the office? Do you think the office is something of the past? If you've listened to some of my my YouTube videos before or follow me on social media, you will know that, in my opinion, those people that have given up their offices, I do truly believe that at one point in time they will revert back to having something. It may not be the size that it is now, but certainly have something as that sense of, as I mentioned earlier, that belonging. I think the challenge with not having any office space is it's very difficult to embrace and embed your culture. I know I struggled personally when we recruited during the pandemic. It was very difficult to onboard people. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort for them to really understand and embrace our culture and our values. So it is something to consider. I think the challenge that we've got now is you need to make the choice. So we know that for a long period of time, HSE viewed the pandemic as sort of a temporary measure, working from home. Well, it's not temporary anymore. It's not been temporary for some time now. So the challenge that we've got is that psychological contract with our people. It's important that your employees understand and know what your decisions are going to be for 2022. Now, albeit I know there may be changes along the way, I think we all have to live with some level of uncertainty now, but I personally have made the choice to operate a hybrid model, albeit that we are operating in the office sort of 3 to 4 days a week, and then that option to work from home 1 or 2 days. And it's entirely an option for my people, and they can utilise that if they need to sort of work concentration and just have that time, or they're waiting for a delivery, or they just need that flexibility for childcare. It's an option now. We've got the technology, the equipment there, and that's something that we are embracing and doing, and my people seem very happy with the way in which we operate. I think what is important as business owners or as HR professionals is that we need to lead from the front. We need to be very clear and ensure that we do communicate to our people what our intentions are for 2022. And one of the challenges that we do have if we are looking to work from home is we've got to ensure that we have, not only when we talk about the psychological contract here, we've got to make sure that we've covered the foundations and the basics. And from my experience, that has not happened. So there are so many clients and prospects that I have spoken to that haven't put the right health and safety measures in place. So they haven't done the DSE assessments, they've not done adequate risk assessments, they've not maybe completed a new risk assessment in the office, they haven't changed policies to consider hybrid ways of working, lone working. There also is maybe potentially considerations to make of contracts of employment. So just make those decisions, decide what you're doing for 2022 and act upon that, and make sure that your foundations are correct as well and you communicate with your people. And the third challenge we discussed was employee retention. And wow, this is a huge subject at the moment. I think every single client that I'm talking to, retention is a challenge, and equally recruitment is a challenge. I think some people had hoped for more loyalty from employees during the pandemic, and there was some recent research that came out from the CIPD that was quite frightening really. The perception that employers had of the loyalty within their business versus the perception that employees had of that was very, very different. So we've got challenges. We've got challenges where people now that the UK has opened back up again, they are making, moving, and we're seeing that movement within the market, but it's not being as easy to recruit the talent for various reasons. If you are like myself and you own a tech business, it's huge opportunity now, the fact that people can work from home, so you don't have to consider travel time and logistics. You can effectively recruit worldwide, which is great and fantastic. And I've got a lead developer who is currently travelling across to China, where he intends to reside from the future, which is fine. He will still deliver a fantastic service for me. However, conversely, it also opens up the market in terms of the people that work with you now can go and work anywhere else worldwide. So all of a sudden you've got more competition than you once had, which is a challenge. So one of the things that we talked about around employee retention, obviously I've listed a few before. So I think tackling mental health and having those courageous conversations and upskilling your managers and your leaders to be able to really lead from the front and support, because we all have mental health. So let's support mental health and let's find ensure that we do look after one another in 2022 and beyond. But then also about that communication, so being really clear on this is the way in which we're going to work, and potentially, as I've mentioned to you there, I'm embracing the hybrid option. I'm using that as it's a fantastic way for me within my business and with my people. The way in which we work, we can do it. We can offer that flexibility. I do have a lot of women that work for me that have childcare sort of has in the past maybe been a deterrent for them to feel like they can actually progress. Certainly, and a massive advocate obviously for that progression and that diversity within my business, but at least the flexibility for men and for women now gives them that option for the ability to have that better work-life balance. But from a retention perspective, I think that another option to consider now is obviously the recruitment of young talent. And when we were talking yesterday, it was fantastic. One of the ladies that was speaking spoke about how the young talent is untapped talent, which I thought was a really interesting analogy. So true, the fact that we could actually bring new, young, fresh talent into the business. And as long as you've got a good succession plan in place, then you are helping to fill that gap, that skills gap. But to do that, you have to ensure that you've got the right infrastructure in place. And I have seen a lot of organisations that will sort of tick a box or think this will be great and this will put a plaster over the problem that they've got. But if they haven't got the right infrastructure in place and they haven't got that support for their young people, then that is really unfair on the young talent, and you're not giving them that ability to thrive within your workplace. So it's important to have the right structure in place. I think you do need to consider that when you're thinking about the way in which you work. So that's certainly something that we do consider in our business. We did take on somebody through the Kickstart scheme, which was fantastic. But one of the things that we had to do is ensure that he had the support within the office. Working from home was just not really an option. He needed to get that support and that development during that period of time, and he's done very well, and he's now thriving within his role. So it is a challenge. I will no doubt be doing several sessions on retention and recruitment for you in 2022, but I just thought you'd find this interesting, just to get you to sort of start to think about some of the challenges of 2022 and how with every challenge there is an opportunity, and how we can obviously embrace 2022. And quite exciting really to consider that there is a change in the relationship between the employer and the employee. So I hope you found that useful. I'd really love your feedback. I'd love to hear your stories and what you're finding within the workplace now, what you consider your challenges, whether you're an employee or employee. I'd love to know from an employee perspective as well how you feel. So please do reach out to me, send me a message, or do follow me on my other social media platforms. They're on the screen now, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.